This is a taste of
You're going to see a lot more. You're going to see so much secondary sanctions. Yes, ma'am.
Once again, Donald Trump isn't punishing China. He's punishing you. Trump's latest move isn't a trade policy. It's a direct hit on millions of everyday Americans who rely on affordable platforms like Temu and Shein. While he plays politics, you pay the price. But does it impact Americans more than China? Overnight, Trump decided to bring back his favorite weapon, tariffs. Those sneaky import taxes that don't hit Beijing's billionaires, but your wallet, your closet, and your grocery cart. His latest targets? Temu and Shein, two platforms that millions of working-class Americans have turned to during hard times. Because let's face it, when eggs cost more than dinner and rent eats up your paycheck, grabbing a $4 phone case or a $10 pair of jeans from these apps matters.
What do you think these shoes cost? How much do you think it costs? What do you think I paid for that?
This is Lenovo? I said it's pretty good. $20 including shipping.
25 without shipping.
I'd say 40.
60, 70, 20 bucks.
What? $100? I don't know.
$40? I paid $2.85 for this pair of shoes.
What? That's crazy. Because they feel like good, like a good shoe. They look good too.
This was $8.79 including shipping.
Really? Damn.
These are $3.70.
Oh, that's insane.
Where are these from?
They understand that we have a Temu Hitler in the White House right now that thinks that he is going to become the dictator of the United States. Well, I got another thing to tell you, sir.
But Trump doesn't care about that. He's made it clear. If it looks Chinese, it must be evil, even if it means you can't afford socks anymore.
Indian officials have said that there are other countries that are buying Russian oil.
It's okay.
Like China, for instance,
It's
buys
okay.
more.
Yeah.
Why are you singling India out for these additional sanctions?
It's only been 8 hours. So let's see what happens over the next.
More secondary sanctions
You're going to see a
soon.
lot more.
So this is a taste of
You're
what's
going to
to
see a
come.
lot more. You're going to see so much secondary sanctions. Yes, ma'am.
On the India penalties, do you have any similar plans to enact more tariffs on China as it relates
Could
to their
happen.
purchases?
Could happen. Depends on how we do. Could happen. It may happen. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you yet, but we did it with India. We're doing it probably with a couple of others. One of them could be China. Yes.
Now, under his new tariff push, goods from Temu and Shein will face extra taxes at the border.
Remember that we are the deficit country. They sell almost 5 times more goods to us than we sell to them. So the onus will be on them to take off these tariffs. They're unsustainable for them.
This also means your $12 Shein top could now cost $20. That $5 gadget from Temu, more like $9 after Trump's economic genius kicks in. And for what? So Trump can wave a flag, scream America first, and pretend he's a working class hero while throwing working class people under the bus?
Why will your Shein and Temu orders cost you a lot more? Many Americans so far haven't felt the major effect of President Trump's sweeping tariff plans, but that could soon change. A duty-free loophole known as the de minimis exemption was closed by the president. It allowed retailers to send packages worth less than $800 to the US without having to pay any duties or taxes. The de minimis exemption was introduced initially to smooth the online shopping process and to boost international trade. But both President Trump and his predecessor Joe Biden said that it harmed American businesses and it allowed the smuggling of illegal goods, including drugs. Shipments that came under this exemption accounted for more than 90% of all US cargo. That's according to the Customs and Border Patrol. The closing of the loophole is bad news for these cheap Chinese retailers like Shein and Temu, but also for Amazon. Around half of its third-party sellers are based in China. Now, import charges will vary depending on the shipment method. Goods that are shipped via the US Postal Service will be hit by a 120% tariff or a flat $100 fee per item, though that's going to go up to $200 in June. But goods that are shipped via private companies, well, they're going to be hit by a baseline 145% tariff. so your $10 t-shirt could end up costing you closer to $25.
Let's be clear. Temu and Shein aren't billionaires hoarding offshore wealth. They're platforms people use to survive. And with inflation already tightening the noose, Trump's move is like pouring salt in the wound. Even worse, experts say this won't bring back jobs. American factories aren't springing up overnight. It's not a manufacturing revival, it's just a political stunt, timed to rile up voters and distract from everything else unraveling.
How did America's industrial economy decline?
If you go back to 1970, about a quarter of American workers were in manufacturing. And if that were still true, we would have 40 million manufacturing workers today. We actually have 13 million at this point. Mostly that's not because we stopped producing manufactured goods. We actually still produce quite a lot. Most of the jobs are gone because of technological change. We don't need as many people doing that kind of work as we used to. There were 55,000 longshoremen in the New York area. There are now 4,000. And that's not because we've processed less freight. There's more stuff coming in than ever before, but it's all those, actually the best view I know is from the monorail at Newark Airport. Those massive, massive cranes lifting containers directly onto truck beds. And that's mostly where the manufacturing.
And I had talked years ago about the last company in America that makes nails to hammer in, and they were going to move to Mexico because they just simply could not afford, they could not compete. That would have been a good time to throw a tariff on something like nails to keep an industry here that was struggling, but we didn't. So that would be a good place to do it. But I hope in this very simple and stupid and silly example, people can start to understand, like, oh, I want to buy American.
So while Trump struts around claiming he's tough on China, remember this: you're the one paying the price, not Xi Jinping, not Wall Street, not the elites who bankroll Trump's golf courses, just everyday people trying to save a few bucks on kid shoes or a phone charger. They are now being told that doing so is un-American.
Trump's 104% tariffs on imports from China will likely see Americans facing rising prices on smartphones and laptops for the next coming months. Just how expensive will things be? Here's an example. Let's just say a laptop costs $400 at import in the US. A retailer would then add an average gross margin of 30%, which is how much revenue the retailer retains after deducting the cost to produce or get the item. And that laptop will now cost $571. That's the price you'll pay at the big box store. China exports a lot of laptops to the US, and as of April 9th, you'll have to factor in the 104% tariff according to the latest figures. Based on historical data that suggests 95% of the tariff is absorbed by the importer, the import price jumps by $395 to $795. And if the retailer passes those costs on to you, the new total you'll pay at the store is $966. That represents a 69% inflation, and the retailer's gross margin rate is lowered by 18%. Basically, you pay more and the retailer earns less. But that's not all. Here are other various categories outside of electronics that would also be affected, specifically on imports from China, experts tell us. Furniture, shoes and apparel, microwave ovens, blinds, linens, curtains, toys, solar panels, building materials like vinyl flooring, cashews, candles, fans, air conditioner parts, golf clubs, exercise equipment, keyboards, auto parts, Christmas ornaments and home decor, toilets, food blenders, seafood. And that's not all. The advice experts have for Americans: buy it now.
So here's the truth. They won't print on a hat. This isn't patriotism. It's punishment.
What's the tariff on bananas? Americans, by the way, love bananas. We buy billions of them a year. I love bananas. What's the tariff on bananas?
The tariff on bananas would be representative of the countries that produce them.
And what's that tariff?
Generally 10%.
Correct, 10%. Walmart has already increased the cost of bananas by 8%.
As countries do deals with
but
us,
the
that will
cost
go
is
to
on
zero.
the American consumer now and on the businesses with the confusion now.
There's no uncertainty. If you build in America and you produce your product in America, there will be no tariff.
We can't
so
produce
the concept
bananas in
of
America.
building in America and paying no tariff
We cannot,
is very, very clear.
We cannot
Fighting
build
for imports.
bananas.
Now comes the billion-dollar question. How is it impacting China?
I don't think Beijing is desperate for a deal.
So does the U.S. have less leverage in your view now than it might have had in the first trade war?
If U.S. policymakers or if the Trump administrations think that it could or America could force China into a deal. I do not think that is going to happen. After all, think through the lens of Beijing and the case of Panama Canal to the extent that it becomes a large public embarrassment, and this is not the leader of a great power wanting to be traded off. And a great leader do not want to come to a negotiation table with
and look weak.
Exactly, or for that matter, with his hand tied. And if I can just conclude by saying that, if we look across the board, China realized that, if the United States is withdrawing from a lot of international institutions, and if the United States is actively, or the current administration is actively potentially sabotaging the role of the US dollar and sabotaging Americans' alliance system, and America is trying to redefine the international order, perhaps China is going to do exactly the opposite. And I think the message has been clear. In a lot of ways, the Trump administration offered Beijing, offered Xi Jinping and his cadres ways to walk back some of China's economic policy missteps without being embarrassed or without having to admit wrongdoing. So from that perspective, if I were Beijing, why am I going to desperate for a deal?
It seems like only Americans are the ones going to suffer after Trump's tariffs. Why should you pay more just to feed Trump's ego? Since when did saving money become unpatriotic? Let us know in the comment section. Are you ready to be the next victim of his trade war circus?